Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to have a look at Pokémon Card 151 and how much you're actually going to be paying for a booster box. Now, we need to differentiate just quickly. We are talking about Pokémon Card 151, not Scarlet and Violet 151. The difference is Pokémon Card 151 is the name for the Japanese set, which is already out, and Scarlet and Violet 151 is the name of the English set, which we're going to be getting as of the 22nd of September. Very important to differentiate between them. Now, it is also worth pointing out that the English version of this set doesn't have booster boxes. This is a special set. We don't get booster boxes for special sets. Japan does. Japan always does. That's a standard thing. Japan pretty much always has, at least as far as I can remember. We don't. Now we are, and I've made this point in a couple of videos, but I do feel the need to keep making it, we are getting booster bundles for this set, which is just 6 packs for the price of 6 packs. You're not paying any extra for promos or any of that, which is new for special sets and huge, and does mean we can just go and buy some packs, which is kind of amazing. But yeah, just to be perfectly clear, you can't buy booster boxes for English, you can buy for Japanese. But I'm hearing all kinds of rumblings over on Twitter about shortages and overselling allocations and things of that nature. So I thought this, and I've had a lot of questions from a lot of people, I thought this was a good time to go and have a look at roughly how much you should be paying for a box. And when I'm looking at this, I tend to go over to Cardo Collectibles. Now, let's be perfectly clear, I am not sponsored by or endorsed by Cardo Collectibles. I am not recommending or endorsing them. I am not telling you that you should go there. This is not a sponsored video. I am telling you that I have personally used them in the past, and that when I have chosen to use them in the past, I have had good experiences. I am not endorsing them or telling you to go there or anything along those lines. But one of the reasons I like to check them is because there's been opportunities in the past where they have been able to rip you off and chosen not to. Pokemon Go was a good example of this. Pokemon Go had promo packs that a bunch of places decided to start selling separately or opening and selling the singles to make extra money, and Cardo Collectibles just threw them in with their regular orders because that seemed like the right thing to do. And I think that was wonderful. So because I've seen opportunities where they could have ripped people off in the past, but they chose not to, that makes me think they're usually a pretty good option for judging what is a fair price. And they are selling booster boxes right now for £120. And that's honestly about right. Now, let's be clear, that is massively above retail. Need to stress that. But there's a difference between massively above retail and ripping you off. A lot of shops, when they're selling above retail, they're not doing it to get one over on you or rip you off or anything along those lines. They are doing it because this is the price. They have had to pay extra from their distributors, and this is how much they've then unfortunately got to sell it on for. It's not that they're sitting there counting their money and laughing at you. This is just the price at which they have to sell in order to justify it. Now, in terms of MSRP, in terms of the recommended retail price here, you're talking 5,800 yen. Remember, it was made to order on the Pokemon Center online in Japan. So, essentially, anyone who's willing to use a proxy address can get a box at retail, which is 5,800 yen. Which is obviously, quite a lot cheaper. I don't think that's an unfair statement. 5,800 yen, you are talking $41 or £32. These boxes over it, and it's actually literally on today's exchange rate, it's $31.99, but then it's actually 0.6, so it rounds up to exactly £32. So I've just told you about Cardo Collectibles selling for £120, which is a pretty good price, honestly. And yet I'm telling you the boxes retail in Japan for £32. That should tell you what you need to know about this set right now. Because basically, yeah, it's a lot. This is a lot. But I'm telling you right now, if you go over onto Japan, you're going to pay an awful lot more. There's one which has sold 613 items 613 have sold. $190. It is a $41 product. Over on eBay, it is selling for $190. This isn't some random seller who's, trying to get one over on you or anything along those lines. No, this is a seller that is selling all day long at $190. There's another one I can show you here, which has sold 3,000, and that is a whopping $180. If you buy 3 or more, you can get it down to $176. And this is kind of my point about Pokemon Card 151. When I'm telling you about these resellers charging $120 and telling you that's actually a pretty decent price, it is a pretty decent price. I mean, $190, we go and convert that into pounds, because I've used pounds a bit in this video as well. That's $150. So people over in the US, over on eBay, are happily paying £150, the equivalent thereof. So yes, £120 is actually a pretty good price. What about if we go over to eBay in the UK? Because I've used a couple of UK prices, so, let's see what people are paying over in the UK. And it's more than £120 for a booster box of Pokemon Card 151. Here's 3 listings, all of which, 2 of which have had a bunch of sales and 1 of which has got a bunch of watchers. 145, 150, and 153. So what that means is, if we're looking at these resellers, if we're looking at eBay, honestly, the general, especially on eBay, the general going price here is about £150 or $180 to $190. Yeah. Once again, this is a $41 box over in Japan or a £32 box over in Japan. But of course, that's a little bit disingenuous. And I'm going to tell you what the retail price is because it's very relevant. But let's be perfectly clear here. This is, it's not necessarily fair. Now, don't get me wrong, I have got a box on order from the Pokemon Center online for £32. That is real, that is legit. At some point, I will get that box and I will pay roughly £32. The exchange rate will change a tiny bit between now and then, but it'll cost me about 32 quid. Well, then about 30 quid for postage. Generally, that is about these, and it's not a perfect one, all right? But generally speaking, about a booster box from a proxy address sent on is going to cost you about 30 quid. So it's actually going to cost me somewhere in the region of 60 quid for a box. That is still half of the price that I said was good over at the reseller. And I'll tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, if I could keep doing this, I would. If I could get a bunch of boxes, and even if I could, for some weird reason, never combine postage, and I had to keep paying 60 quid a box shipped to the UK, yeah, I'd do that in a heartbeat. I would happily pay 60 quid a box. The fact of the matter is, that price of 60 quid a box doesn't really exist. Outside of getting the made to order on the Pokemon Center online and getting it shipped from a proxy address and understanding that that is a single box and I'm only allowed one, outside of that, it doesn't exist. I keep telling you that 120 quid price was good. Here's a couple others for sale in the UK for 170 and 150. Believe me when I say, and I didn't look this up before I started making the video because I didn't need to. I knew Cardo Collectibles was going to be the cheapest because they always are. And then we've looked and everywhere else is just a bit more. The fact of the matter is, you are paying about £150 in the UK, and honestly, $180 in the US is a pretty good price. It's rubbish, but unfortunately, that's the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's the way it is. I do think we're at the point now where, unless you want the really big cards, singles are the way to go. Like, as I explained to you the other day, trying to buy a single of the Mew or the Charizard or Erica, yeah, you're going to pay a fair bit for that, ladies and gentlemen. They ain't going to be cheap. Outside of the big cards, the boxes are so expensive here that we really are at that stage where you should probably just be trying to buy singles. I've got my box coming and I'm absolutely delighted. But as I've mentioned in many videos, I want to get one of everything other than the secret rares. Although I do want the artwork rares. So I want all the commons, uncommons, rares, EXs, and artwork rares. I want one of all of them. I'm just going to go and buy a bunch of singles. I do think that is probably the way to go. I've got my one box coming, and that's lovely. Outside of that, yeah. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Hey ho. For now, I want to know what you think about this. I want to know if you've picked it up, how much you paid. I want to know anything you want to tell me. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join the Discord, all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Uncle Poker Parker, who is our newest patron and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the apparent loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.